All right, we are officially recording. Are you there, Pete?
Yes, I am.
All right, awesome. All right, welcome, you guys. My name is Tony Torres, and I have on the line with me brilliant copywriter, multi-million-dollar copywriter, Peter Louis Kaczynski, sorry. And he just also happens to be one of my best friends, and we're going to kick the webinar off right now. We are going to be talking about Gary Halbert XXX secrets, and specifically one of his emergency cash surge promotions. And I have this on the webinar page as a 160K case study, but as you'll see as we go through this promo, it's actually $169,000 case study and a little bit more in change. And this is the most effective cash search promotion that I ever learned from marketing legend Gary Halbert and my mentor and good friend Joe Polish. And I want to cover that with you on the call today. And let me go ahead and launch the PowerPoint. Here we go. Ta-da! Now I do have a little bit of a problem here, Pete. I've got the go to webinar thing that is covering up half my page, but from what I can tell, you're able to see my page unencumbered. Is that correct?
Yeah, I can see it pretty good. Yeah.
All right, guys. So we're going to kick off the webinar. Welcome. I want to say thank you for being here and taking an hour out of your Saturday, but it is going to be well worth it. And I'm going to give you a lot of valuable information that you can use, right away to start bringing in some cash in your business with a few caveats. I mean, obviously, there's that whole income disclaimer. We cannot promise you'll do as good as we have or anything like that. But for certain businesses that have certain things in place, which I will cover later on the webinar, very easy to put in place, then we will. This will work like gangbusters for you. So anyway, the title of this webinar is Gary Halbert, XXX Secrets, Emergency Cash Surge Promotions. And this is the 160K case study introducing the most effective emergency cash surge promotion I learned from marketing legend Gary Halbert and my mentor, Joe Polish. My promise to you today, I'm going to try to move this out of the way from me. My promise to you today is I will peel back the curtain and show you the exact marketing campaign I used with a client to generate $169,490 in under 30 days, walk you through some of the finer points of the campaign, and even give you the exact letter you can use as a template for your own emergency cash search promotion that you can use to start bringing money right away in your own business. Now, I do have to tell you something a little bit funny. Peter and I have conversations about this every day. We are very talented copywriters, but when it comes to technology, we are not that great. Isn't that right, Pete?
Yeah, I probably fit into the category of village idiot, but
Yeah.
you're
So,
probably
village idiot of the interwebs, and so basically, I my plan was to have this the letter that that is used in this campaign like up on some kind of web page that you can download, but I ran out of time in terms of this webinar, and that was beyond my capabilities. So but I am still going to get you that letter. Either I'll email it to you or something as a PDF, and you will get that. If you're on the webinar right now, you will get that. So don't worry about that. That is coming your way. Oh man. Okay. So thank you for being here once again. That's me. Um, and you might be asking yourself, who am I anyway? Uh, my name is Tony Torres, and I am a multi-million-dollar direct response copywriter. and marketing strategists that you have probably never heard of. And you know what? That's okay. I've been at this for nearly 15 years, and I've had my share of base hits and total flops, and also my share of multi-million dollar winners, just like every other very successful copywriter. In fact, Gary Halbert, I don't know if you knew this, Pete, but like until he hit the big winner with the coat of arms letter, I mean, he literally every other project was basically a failure, and so he went through a lot of that until
Yeah,
lucky.
I did know that. Yeah, there's a lot of failure involved. So yes.
Yeah, and you know what? Joe Sugarman has a great quote about failure, and that most people just don't embrace failure, but that's really what's needed. I mean, Joe Sugarman talks about how he considers himself one of the biggest failures of all, but he's now a multi millionaire with the success of blue blockers and everything else, and so it's an interesting paradigm shift. But anyway, I've been a copywriter as both an employee. In fact, I used to be Joe Polish's in-house copywriter for several years, and I've also worked as a freelance gun for hire by referral only copywriter. Um, and also, I've been a copywriter for my own promotions, of course. And so, just a little bit about my story. When I was 16 years old, I came across a copy of Joe Carbo's book, The Lazy Man's Way to Riches, at a garage sale for 10 cents, no joke. And I bought it, and I absolutely fell in love with uh, the whole concept of mail order. And I have that torn up, tattered book, on my bookshelf to this day. And I just fell in love with mail order and the idea of getting rich by writing words that sell without having to talk to anyone face to face, because I was a chubby and shy and very introverted kid. And, I grew up as an only child. And so my best friends were the library and books. And I used to love to read and write. And so this, when I learned about this as a career, I thought it was ideal. And that led me into a whole world of discovering a bunch of new mentors, including Claude Hopkins, Robert Collier, John Caples, Vic Schwab, Eugene Schwartz, Dan Kennedy, Ben Suarez, Jeff Paul, and one person I was going to put in here and I totally forgot. I don't know. Was Joe Sugarman of Blue Blocker fame. I mean, he is definitely uh, one of the old greats. And then, of course, my two favorite and most impactful mentors of all time, Joe Polish and Gary Halbert. So, who is Joe Polish? I'm going to take a little bit of time to read a little bio here for both of them, and I don't want to waste too much time on this. I just want you to understand, who these guys are and why I feel they're so brilliant, and just to give the weight of this promotion that you're about to learn a little bit more weight. Um, and so, anyway, about Joe Polish, and this is one of his bios. Joe Polish's Tempe, Arizona office is the headquarters for Piranha Marketing. It's often referred to by marketing insiders as Action Central for much of the entrepreneurial world. Though he made his fortune in an almost invisible niche by teaching carpet cleaners how to crush the competition and turn their small business into money churning machines, he is now among the most well known and respected complete marketing geniuses in the world. You see, Joe grew up as a dead broke carpet cleaner, and he was struggling for a long time, living off credit cards just to survive until he finally came across his first Gary Halbert newsletter that a friend of his gave him. And he started learning about how to use direct response techniques in his carpet cleaning business, and that's what literally allowed him to shoot from making like $2,000 a month to over $10,000 a month to over $12,000 a month. And then he'd go to these trade shows, and people started. He's a long-haired, ponytailed kid at that time, and people wanted to know what the hell he was doing, and so he started, teaching. what he was doing. And so he never planned to get into the info marketing business as a marketing coach or teacher or anything like that. It just kind of naturally evolved. And now he is, I mean, Pete, this guy is incredible, right? Well, first of all, the best thing about Joe Polish is he has an amazing, huge, and giving heart. I mean, wouldn't you say, Pete?
Yeah, yeah, he's as honest and ethical as they come by, yeah, and he's just yeah, a fantastic human being. So you're right, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say the same about Gary Halbert necessarily, but Joe Polish has a heart of gold, and he is just so connected. He has, he just finished putting on a sold out. I mean, and not like a fake sold out, but a real sold out 10K event in New York just a couple of weeks ago, where he had like all these multimillionaires and billionaires in the room that are wanting to join his 25K program, which is the most exclusive, mastermind program in the world for direct response marketers. And he's got people in there like Paul Abdul and the guys from P90X who are doing over 400 million a year, and just a bunch of other really high level individuals. And so, I mean, he started as a dead broke carpet cleaner, and now is like a superstar. And he is definitely one of my heroes. Um, Now, who is Gary Halbert? Gary Halbert, unfortunately, is no longer with us. He passed away a couple of years ago, but he was referred to as the Prince of Print and the greatest copywriter who ever lived. And he really was like a mad genius. I mean, wouldn't you say, Pete?
Absolutely was. Yep.
And he was definitely one of the most well known and respected and ripped off marketing guys the world has ever seen. Gary wrote many multi-million dollar promotions, including the famous coat of arms sales letter that I mentioned a little bit earlier. That had been mailed. It's been mailed to more than any other sales letter in history. At least at that time, it was mailed over 600 million times, and it generated over um, uh, 75 million in revenue. I don't know. That doesn't sound right.
No, no, it was a lot. It was actually a lot more than that, Tony. I
Yeah,
can tell you that for sure.
it's got to
Yeah,
be maybe 750 million in revenue. I don't know, but that
yeah.
must be a type error or something. But anyway, Gary himself is responsible for over billions of dollars in sales, and he put Tova Borgnine's cosmetic and perfume products, as well as countless other businesses, on the map. And this is one of the cool things about Gary. While many copywriters and marketers are experts in a particular niche, Gary was actually really well known for basically being able to sell anything to anyone. And it really is a unique talent because I know, like, my specialty is really um, like self help, personal growth, info products, and that kind of thing. I mean, I have branched out into other different niches, but it just helps when you narrow down. Um, and Gary was just brilliant. He could just like sell anything to anyone. He just had that innate knowledge of human nature and how people worked. And he single handedly changed the nature of modern direct response advertising. And through his teachings, has spawned three generations and still counting of rabble rousing entrepreneurs and marketers who continue to force the business world to bend to their will. Now, a little bit later in this presentation, I want you to hear from Joe Polish himself, and he's going to talk about a little bit of the influence Gary has had on like our current marketers and online marketing and stuff like that that people don't even realize. A lot of this stuff came from Gary. But anyway, let's move on. Um, I want to tell you two of my favorite lessons I learned from Gary Halbert, and then a little bit later in the presentation, I'll go into many more. But for right now, this is setting up uh, the campaign that I want to go over with you. And so here we go. Number one, no matter what business you are in, you are really in the arithmetic business. And this is going to become really clear. as we go through this promotion um, in a moment. And but really, it comes down to math. And the other thing that Gary, I used to love that Gary said was, the biggest difference between winners and losers. Losers focus on the perils of defeat, and winners focus on the rewards of winning. And I can just hear his voice in my head right now saying that. And there's a lot of times that I just hear Gary's voice in my head. You know what I mean, Pete?
Oh yeah, me too.
And my good buddy Peter Louis, that is here on the phone. I wasn't sure he was going to be able to make it, but luckily he did, and I didn't have a chance to make a slide for him. But Pete is also a multi-million-dollar copywriter, direct response copywriter, and in my opinion, a much better copywriter than I am. And Pete, if you could just give like a quick overview of yourself and what you've done, I mean, so the listeners can
Okay, well,
a bit more.
first of all, I got to tell you, Tony, thank you for the intro. And don't sell yourself short. You're a really great copywriter, Tony. You're fantastic.
Thank
A
you.
little bit about me. I started out in the carpet cleaning business, and I met Joe Polish because that's what he did was he taught carpet cleaners how to market their businesses, and I learned from Joe all about direct response marketing. And what I did was I became a licensee of Joe's, and I put together a marketing system for car dealerships, auto dealers, and I sold over 1,600 kits throughout North America to auto dealers. And I've also done a lot of freelance copywriting for people, and I would say that's it in a nutshell as far as what you want me to talk about. I think, Tony, unless there's something else you want me to mention.
No, let's dive into this campaign because I want to get your feedback after
Okay.
after we do that. I don't know why it keeps giving me that message. But anyway, that brings me to our main topic for the webinar today: introducing the most effective emergency cash surge promotion I ever learned from marketing legend Gary Halbert. And I wanted you to hear this powerful money making lesson directly from the horse's mouth himself. And so this is going to be a little excerpt of Gary Halbert speaking. This is an excerpt, not an accept, of a private consultation with Joe Polish and a few other info marketers with Gary Halbert. This is a snippet of one of my all-time favorite Gary Halbert and Joe Polish info products called the Gary Halbert XXX audios. And you'll hear Gary cover the strategy, and then I will get into how I deployed it for one of my clients and how you can too. So let me boot that up. I'm gonna have to switch out of um, this presentation for just a moment. Here we go.
Sure, I'll have other questions as we go along, but I just wanted to get as many ideas about getting more customers into my market.
Okay, well, you don't need a whole lot of ideas. I mean, what you need is two different kinds of ideas. Right now, you need some emergency life-saving ideas. Like the first thing I'm going to talk to you about is though you were wounded in combat and I'm running the MASH hospital, you come in and I got to stop the bleeding and make sure that you don't die. All right, now here's exactly how you do that. You take the 5,000 list that you have, the best portion of that list, and that is your agent list, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you write a sales letter, and part of this is boilerplate copy that I have memorized. So I'm going to give it to you quickly. It'll be on the tape, and then you're going to have to fill in the yada yadas. Now, each one of these letters will be computer generated so that they look personalized, as though they were individually typed. And it'll be something like this. June 11th, 1977. John Q. Everett, 123 Elm Street, Massillon, Ohio, 44646. Dear Mr. Everett, as you can see, I've attached a nice crisp $1 bill to the top of this letter. Why have I done this? Actually, there are two reasons. Number one, I have something very important to tell you, and I wanted somebody to make sure this letter would catch your attention. Number two, since what I have to tell you concerns how you can double the amount of money you make on commissions or whatever it is, I thought using a dollar bill as a financial eye catcher was especially appropriate. Here's what it's all about. My name is Pamela Yellen, and I have recently developed a lead-generating profit that is so incredible.
This program continues with tape 5.
All right, it's going to continue right here, guys.
You know what Phillips does? Phillips will act, if you sign on for one of their newsletters, and they're the biggest newsletter publisher in the world, they have a renewal pitch that goes out every month. They do at least 12. They have a couple.
You know, what does Phillips sell? I have no idea. What do they sell?
The biggest newsletter they have is the Whitaker Wellness Letter. And then almost all the rest of them are financial letters. Shabaka Mutual Fund Letter, the Retirement Letter.
That's our Jack and Damo.
Yeah.
Got about 14 of them. Then you get pitched on once a week.
Yeah. And you know what one of the keys I would tell you is just to do more marketing, do more letters.
It wouldn't be as safe as like you said earlier.
It wouldn't, it's not as safe. But now that you have that model up and running, there's no reason that you shouldn't do the other model. Now, what you want to do is you want to take 100 of those letters. Now, listen real carefully, because what I'm about to tell you is crucial. You do this with 100 letters, and you send those letters by priority mail, all right? So that they're going to arrive within 3 days. That's guaranteed. And you send a priority mail, and then you call them. When you call, you make it a person-to-person call to John Q. Everett from Pamela, and then you talk to those guys and see how many sales that you can close. Now, what you're going to find out is some of them are not interested, some of them can't get through, some of them are going to really like it, et cetera, et cetera. But as you get feedback, now when you write the next 100 letters, you're going to change it. But you're not going to change it through guesswork or intuition or gut feeling. You're going to change it because of real, honest-to-God field feedback, right? Then you do it with another 100 letters, and then you do it with another 100. And somewhere about that time, you're going to have probably about the best letter that you can write without, getting some world-class copywriter to come in and do it. Then you go through the numbers. Now, it may not be that you want to continue mailing priority mail. Maybe you want to mail this package regular first-class mail. But whenever I'm in doubt, when I first worked with Sam and Leslie Fishbein, they had a real big problem. They've got 5 furniture stores here in Denver. They're about to open 2 more, but I started working in '88, and they were in sort of a crisis situation. And I almost always tell people in a crisis situation, if you haven't done it, mail a dollar bill letter to your existing list and follow it up with a telephone call. Now, I don't want to hear any of this shit about how you don't like making calls. Make the call and record the calls. And as you record the calls, wait till you capture yourself at concert pitch on a few of them. Then you use that as a training program for anybody else that's going to work for you. You have Mary come in, you say, Mary, listen to these tapes. And she'll hear you actually talking to, selling this at your best, overcoming the 10 most common objectives. That's how you get somebody to do it, okay? But the first thing that you need to do is you need to send all those people a dollar bill promotion, and believe me, it'll reactivate enough of them.
In an amount that you can follow up with at 100 a time, or do you just send all 5,000?
No. You do not send all 500.
You want to keep refining.
You want to do the 100. You want to do the 100. You want to do them priority mail. You're trying to make sales, but you're also trying to buy information. Right? I mean,
why they're not buying and what.
Yeah, exactly. And then the next 100 letters you change and you make it better, and then the next 100 letters get better and better and better. Okay, and then when you finally have it good enough that you think you can put it on automatic pilot, you may think about having Mary and then Jane come in and do that. All right, but that's an emergency bailout. Now, to tell you the truth, After the first 200 calls, you can probably get enough money to bail yourself out of any financial problem you have simply by mailing a 32-cent a letter with a 32-cent stamp, with a personalized letter and a dollar bill, and not following up with a phone call, should you so choose. The rule of thumb, though, if you follow up with a telephone call, is that your sales will increase by a factor of 5. So
you're talking about a 30% closing ratio.
Oh, you have that already?
No, I'm just what you.
Yes. If you're getting 6, you'll jump it to 5. Because you got the biofeedback. You're talking to somebody. I mean, one of the things that you said, which was just factually inaccurate, is when Sam asked you how many would close if you're talking to them. It's not that. It would be a lot higher. Okay, that's your bailout. Now let me tell you what you might consider doing.
All right, so basically, that's your bailout. That is the campaign in a nutshell. And that is exactly what I did with one of my clients. And that is the whole basis of the 160K case study. Hey, Pete, have you ever used the dollar bill letter? Oh, I think we lost Pete. Peter,
Yes.
have you ever used the dollar bill letter?
Yes, I have.
Did it work like gangbusters for you?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, worked very well.
Excellent. All right, getting back into the motion here. I had to switch out of this so I could play that little snippet. I apologize, guys. I forgot that little snippet had Gary cussing in there. But that is one of the reasons it's called the Gary Halbert XXX program. It's because he uses a lot of words in there. But if you can get beyond that, it's a great program. Um, so anyway, going back to those 2 lessons that had to do with the campaign, no matter what business you are in, you are really in the arithmetic business, and basically that whole promotion comes down to math. And thing number 2, the biggest difference between winners and losers. Losers focus on the perils of defeat, and winners focus on the rewards of winning. And so, with this particular client, he was he was a winner. He focused on, the math and what it would mean to win. I've had opportunities to do this promotion with other clients who have basically declined just because they're more worried about the failure of the thing versus the possible win. But the way Gary describes it, with breaking it into 100 name chunks, you really minimize the amount of risk you are taking financially anyway. And even if it's not like a great home run or whatever, I mean, really, what you are still buying information and feedback and how you can tweak the letter, to make it better and stronger. So I'm going to go through now. Um, this is the cover. I mean, the first page of the actual letter um, of this case study, and I don't know if you can read it. Let's see. At the very top, it says, "You are still interested in doing pre foreclosures and short sales and having that extra money start rolling in quickly, aren't you?" And then there's a dollar bill. And then there's a final notice at the top, and then a pre head even before that. How to get plugged back in, get immediate support with 6 weeks of free coaching calls, get funding for your deals, and if you are one of the first 12 alumni to respond, I'll even pay for your hotel room. Time sensitive details below. Now, the reason I bring that in is because during the first 100 letters that we sent out, one of the big objections was the hotel room. Believe it or not, I mean, these were alumni. They knew how great the seminar was, but they were still kind of hung up on having to pay for the hotel room. So we moved we tweaked the promotion to where for the first 12 that responded, we would pay for their hotel room as well because of a glitch we had with some of the speakers and stuff. And not only that, not only did we tweak the promotion, but we moved that up, like to the headline, basically of the letter. And when we send out the next batch, I mean, it really we really saw the difference. But anyway, it just goes into like your normal Gary Halbert templated boilerplate, which you're going to get a copy of this entire letter. It's a 5-page letter that went out priority mail with the dollar bill. Your first name, Ryan Tues, and that's another important thing. You want to customize their name in there. Dear first name, dear Pete, Ryan Two is here, and as you can see, I have attached a nice, crisp $1 bill to the top of this letter. Why have I done this? Actually, there are two reasons. This letter is very important, and I needed some way to make sure it would catch your attention. Number two, and secondly, since what I'm going to share with you today concerns you making a ton of money in the next few months, using this dollar bill as a financial eye grabber seemed especially appropriate. Here's what it's all about. Dot, dot, dot. And then it just goes into the rest of the letter. And like I said, you're going to get that entire letter. I will email it to you as a PDF so that you can use in your own promotions. But that whole beginning is just boilerplate Gary Halbert, verbiage. I'm sure your dollar bill letters are very much the same, right, Pete?
That's right.
Yep. And it just flat out works. I mean, if you use it, it will work. So anyway, let me continue. Okay, so here's the math for this promotion. We ended up eventually sending out a total of 1,073 of these, priority mail boxes with the dollar bill letter inside. But we did start with the 100. And then, like I said, we had that feedback about the hotel. We tweaked it. And then we did follow up with a phone call. And so at the end of the campaign, we ended up getting 170 orders, which is actually 17% um, about there. 170 times 997 equals 169,490. So that was the amount of revenue that was totally brought in. Um, Now it did cost 6K on the promo. Now, just so you know, I was the voice of this guy Ryan Tuis, and so I had a really good ongoing bonding and relationship with the list from weekly emails and a newsletter and stuff like that. So that is one of the things that I would hope you would have with your list is like a good bond, and they like hearing from you. So they definitely liked hearing from Ryan. The other thing that you would want to have in place for a promotion to kind of duplicate this is a high priced back end offer, which in this case it was 997 for the alumni version of the registration. And just so you know, from a behind the scenes standpoint, um, I mean Ryan wasn't even worried about the 997. I mean he just wanted those people there at the seminar because once they were there at the seminar, they were given a chance to join his $25,000 coaching program for short sales and pre foreclosures. And so 170 actual people there that have already been there before and are eager to learn. I mean, that's a really good crowd to have in front of you. But be that as it may, I mean, this still can work with a lower price promo if it's digitally based and stuff like that. But we'll get to that. The other thing is, before we actually did the direct mail campaign, We did what I call skim the list with email and sent them basically to a web page that sold, um, the alumni offer, and got some orders that way. So those people that responded via just the email promotion, then we took them off the direct mail list, and so the direct mail went only to people who hadn't already responded, uh, because those are basically your lay down sales, and so it's not necessary to send them the dollar bill letter. But anyway, so there were about a little bit. I mean, there was $1,073 bills, and then but I rounded everything down to 1,000 just to make the math easy. $1,000 bills, and then it cost $5 approximately to send out the 1,000, um, you know, priority mail boxes, and so that was about 6,000 spent on the promo. So you subtract that math from the 169 in revenue, and you come out to 163,490. So not too shabby for about 3 weeks of work. Now, one thing we did follow Gary's advice about following up with a phone call. Ryan's mom and sister actually followed up with phone calls to see if they had gotten the letter, if they had any questions about the free room, blah blah blah. And I mean, so it was. I mean, it wasn't like we had a sales floor of telemarketing sharks following up on this. I mean, it was Ryan's mom and his sister, and so it overall, I mean, it worked really well. So again, 169,490 in total revenue minus 6,000 equals 163,490, and my cut was 10%, so 16,949 bucks, which is not too shabby for 3 weeks work. And I've had copywriting assignments that have paid me much less, and I mean much less, and were much harder to execute because I was basically writing copy from scratch. And this I basically took a templated strategy that Gary Halbert laid out, and it was just a quick letter. It probably took me a day or two to put together, um, and I got well paid for that. Now that's what I talk about in the thing about focusing more on the 80/20 rule of copywriting, because you can really bust your butt on creating something new from scratch, whatever. Whereas you can get a lot more revenue and coming in from focusing on promotions like this that are proven to work and that don't take that much time to implement and tweak for yourself. So anyway, that's it for that. Um, Going back over some other lessons I learned from Halbert. No matter what business you're in, you are in the arithmetic business. And I already went over that. Number two, the biggest difference between winners and losers. Losers focus on the perils of defeat. Winners focus on the rewards of winning. Number three, what you need most is a hungry, starving crowd. And that means to become a student of markets and see what people are already buying and what they're hungry for, and solving problems to solutions they have that they really want an answer for. You know what I mean? Number four, the money is not in your product or service, it's in the marketing of your product or service. Number five, almost any problem in the world can be solved with the right sales letter. Number six, don't worry about the dogs when you're trying to attract the foxes. Now, Gary wasn't very politically correct, and he didn't care about offending anyone pretty much. And so, um, but basically, this happens a lot. Like even even in today's as recently as yesterday, this happened with a client of mine who started getting cold feet on a promotion because he got um, a few negative comments being said. Uh, you know, based on an overall crowd of like 55,000, there were less than 20 negative comments, and he was already starting to get cold feet. And so Gary Halbert would have like really slapped him upside the head and say, don't worry about the dogs when you're trying to attract the foxes. And I'm sure you've experienced that in your business. Good advertising should simply be salesmanship multiplied. And can and clone yourself and your best sales message at concert pitch. I mean, that's one of the most important things I learned from Gary Halbert. I mean, the whole concept of direct response and is salesmanship multiplied, and that it's scientific. Um, that for if you send out uh, a certain amount and you get a certain percentage response, most likely if you go to a similar list or you're rolling out to that same list, you'll get a similar response. And you can just kind of make it. It's not 100% scientific, but it is uh, where you can get it to where you can predict what's going to happen. And then my favorite quote by Gary Halbert is "Movement beats meditation." This is a big lesson I learned from him. He said you can either be um, um, I can't remember how I first heard him say it, but it was like um, scared and frozen, uh, or scared and moving. And movement beats meditation. Not literally. He wasn't talking about literal, meditation where you, quiet the mind and that kind of thing. In fact, it's quite the opposite. It's when your mind is out of control and all you can see are all the negative and fearful things that might happen. It's all that mental garbage. And Gary used to talk about. I'll leave that for another time. But uh, yeah, it was just getting past all that mental garbage that keeps you frozen and getting moving, getting in the game, and getting up to bat and knowing that you're going to fail. Even the best of the best, Gary Halbert, John Carlton, Dan, Dan Kennedy, Joe Sugarman, they've had way more failures um, than successes. But the successes in terms of financial, far outweigh uh, the failures. And the failures is where you learn stuff, where you get to tweak. And like I said, Joe Sugarman has the best paradigm shift in terms of failures of anybody I know, and that is, failures. Um, they're necessity for success. They're a requirement, and everything is just a test. It's not really a failure. It's just, you know, okay, we learned it didn't work that way. Let's try something else. And as much as we can adopt that, mindset, the better. So now I wanted to let you hear from Joe Polish a little bit before we get into the close of this webinar. We don't have much time left uh, together. But I wanted to let you hear a few quick words from Joe, just in case you haven't had the pleasure of being introduced to him. So just give me just a moment.
Direct marketer and has a great presentation for you. Please welcome my longtime friend, Joe Polish.
Have fun. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Ah, yes. The eloquence of Mr. Dan Kennedy. Dan, out of curiosity, though, if you and Bill Glazer were to get in a physical fight, do you think you could take him?
I know I could take you.
I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't be in direct response had I not been given a Gary Halbert letter. That's why I'm going to talk about this guy, because he's absolutely brilliant. But just to give you a real quick background on me, people ask where I got my marketing education. I want to show everybody something here so to make sure this works. Okay, this is my report card. I actually went to college. I went to a highly esteemed community college, Chandler Gilbert Community College, and this is my report card. Okay, and the what you see here is interpersonal communication principles of marketing. I got a C, and owning and operating a small business, I failed. Okay, so yeah. So, but now, you know, I own a, not only do I own a multi-million-dollar business, I actually net over $1 million a year. A lot of people say they gross a lot of money, and that doesn't mean anything. It's really how much you actually get to keep. But I learned a lot from Gary Halbert, so I want to give you some background on So, who was this guy, Gary Halbert, that I'm going to talk about? That's me and Gary, gosh, probably 13 years ago. Gary died in 2007, April 8th, 20 days ago, in 2007, whatever today's date is. The guy was an absolute genius. Like Dan mentioned, he was totally crazy, brilliant as all get out, but his influence can be seen everywhere today. There's a lot of things that internet marketers do today, that all marketers do today, that many of you in the room are doing today that you may not realize actually originated from Gary Halbert. How many in the room actually know or read any of Gary's stuff? Okay, good. So he came up with, lots of things: free recorded messages, testimonial photos, eavesdrop lines, personalized direct mail, grabbers. There's been a lot of talk, 3D mailings. I learned about all of that stuff from Gary Halbert. Grabbers, I mean, he was.
And just so you know, guys, I love using grabbers and direct mail promotions and just things that capture your attention in weird looking, uh, envelopes or, um, riders that the thing will actually come in, like I'm sure you've seen them, the bank bags and the coconuts and stuff like that. Um, Gary Halbert was a big influence in terms of grabbers and stuff like that. So
To this day, I've never seen a bigger teacher originator back then as Gary Halbert. And so how many of you have actually read his newsletter, the Gary Halbert letter, or read How to Make, okay, a few of you. Anyone read How to Make Maximum Money in Minimum Time? Unbelievable marketing book, one of my favorite marketing books, which is simply just a compilation of some of Gary's stuff. And he is arguably the most well-known, respected, and ripped-off marketing icon the direct response world has ever known. And I will share with you some of the things that I think you'd be able to use and go out and make money as a result of what I learned from Gary. So he influenced many of today's greatest marketers. And there's a picture of me and Dan, and Dan actually he's still a little bit of color in his beard back then. Is Dan still in the room? I can make fun of him now. This is good. All right, I won't make fun of Dan. It's too, because he'll attack you later. I mean, it's just not a good idea. All right, so that's Gary. Gary, very, very interesting guy. So some of the people that have probably, I don't know if Dan mentioned this. Gary gave Dan his first copywriting job. Did he say that? Did Dan mention that? Yeah. Ben Suarez learned marketing from Gary Halbert. Built a $100 million a year company. Ted Nicholas, Jay Abraham, Frank Kern, the crazy Frank Kern. How many of you actually like Frank Kern? He is a bad human being. You should not like him. Quit sending him money. Don't do any of it. And tell him I said so. Send all his shit back. Actually, say wait. Don't. I'm kidding. Frank's a good friend of mine. He's a smart dude. I learned a lot from Gary. Bill Phillips, Body for Life guy. I've been Bill Phillips' marketing consultant on and off since 1997. I once, me and Dan Kennedy, actually, I had Dan come down to do a day of consulting with Bill, and we put Bill on a $30,000 a month retainer each. $30,000 to me, $30,000 to Dan, to help Bill Phillips out. I've made Bill millions of dollars, and the whole link there was because I knew Gary Halbert, and that's who Bill learned much of his marketing from, and that was our first rapport building thing.
Now, here's the other thing I wanted to mention to you guys about the. Joe just mentioned that Frank Kern was hugely influenced by Gary Halbert, and I just wrote an article about this the other day. In terms of one of the other, like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Frank Kern's 4-day cash machine, um, or his survey promotion, which are two other promotions that can really cause like a little influx of cash for you. But the 4-day cash promotion is really, it's like you take a product that you have, and you dribble to your list a little bit each day, over the course of a few days. That, hey, you want to share with them some of the content from the actual product, and you do it through video, and then you ask for their feedback, and you say that you're going to be releasing a new updated version of the product, soon, and you wanted to get their feedback on how you can make it better. And then, it's like, hey, the people that do take advantage of that and do ask you, or do give you your feedback, they get a response that says, hey, thank you for sending your feedback. um, what I'd like to do now is give you a free trial um, of the new updated product when it's ready, and let you have it for 30 days and see how it works. And if you want to keep it at that point, we'll charge your card. And if not, then no harm, no foul. Just let us know and we won't bill you. And normally that's done on a trial basis. I actually did it with Joe, for CDs of his I Love Marketing event, um, where they paid the shipping and handling. And then if they wanted to keep it after the 30-day trial, um, then we would charge them in 3 easy payments of like 333. And of course, Nightingale Conant does something very similar as well. And just in terms of that whole free trial offer, and which is one of the things that Gary Halbert came up with, and the way he did it. And believe it or not, I even did it one time with Ryan Tuis, the client I was talking to you about earlier, with an actual real estate seminar that was several thousands of dollars. And the whole premise was the Gary Halbert premise of, hey, uh, you can post dates your check, or we will not charge your card until after 30 days, or until after you've come to the seminar and you see that this is totally worth the value. And of course that works best if you have like a really excellent product that really delivers a ton of value, because all of this centers around delivering maximum value to your end client. But I'm assuming that all of you on the webinar right now do. And these promotions work excellent for just breaking down those barriers of hesitation and skepticism, and just getting the product in their hand. And it's that whole puppy dog close. If they can see what it's like, and just really be blown away, then a lot of them will keep the product. Now you will get some dirt bags who will take advantage of you and just rip off your stuff, and but that's okay, because overall you'll make a lot more money by getting a lot more people to try you out that wouldn't have otherwise, if not for that outrageous offer. So that is the basis for like two of Frank Kern's cash surge promotions, what he calls mass control promos or stuff like that. So there are a lot of different promos. There are about 8 different promos that are kind of go to for me, that I like to use, and my clients. Again, going back to the whole 80/20 rule, I prefer to work on something that is has a high probability of working, because they're just proven campaigns, and and also it's just a lot more work. I mean, it's a lot easier for me to take a promotion like this dollar bill promotion and mold it, for a client, than it is to write just copy from scratch about a new product or something that is not proven in the market. So I try to stay away from those copywriting assignments now that I'm getting older, and I just want to like focus on the low hanging fruit and you know spend more time with my family and things like that. And you can do that sort of the same thing in your business. I mean, there's promotions that you can use, like this dollar bill promotion that we covered today, that you should be able to see an instant cash flow surge, even if you don't do it 100%, like the way we talked about. I mean, even if you do it, uh, you know, with email first, and then generate a little bit of that revenue, and then dip your toe into the actual direct mail. I find so many people are hesitant to use the direct mail, but let me tell you, it's still one of the ways that many of my clients make the majority of their money, including Joe Polish. So he will tell you that absolutely. So anyway, that pretty much brings us to the end of this webinar. I really wanted to let you listen to this entire presentation by Joe because it's so killer. And if you have not seen it before, maybe I can make it available on a web page or something that you can check out. Um, no, I told you originally that I was going to tell you how you could get a copy of um, one of my favorite Gary Halbert and Joe Polish knowledge products, which is basically uh, the Gary Halbert XXX program and Joe Polish's Piranha marketing program. Those, no joke. I mean, they are two of, uh, the Piranha marketing, Joe Polish's program, the Nightingale Kona program. That is one of the best marketing programs I've ever been through or ever listened to. Uh, no joke, and that's not just because I'm just a huge Joe Polish fan. I mean, anybody else I talk to says the same thing. But these Gary Halbert XXX programs, they're very entertaining. Like I said, Halbert cusses a lot in them, but there's lots of nuggets of gold in there too. And I don't want to make this a big pitch um, of, for this. I said I wasn't going to. If you do want to, but I did say I would tell you how you could get both of these programs for free. So here's the deal with that. Um, this whole package is valued at $497. The Halbert XXX and the Joe Polish Piranha marketing. Um, but what happens is there's a lot of people that go through the programs, and they're like, Tony, yeah, those were great programs, but you know, I don't want to do this myself. Um, can you just take these promotions and do it for me? And so a lot of my clients now are hiring me to adapt these promotions, like the Gary Halbert dollar bill promotions and other ones, for them. The thing is, I have to be 100% honest with you. It does not work all the time with every single business. I mean, you've got to have the right things in place, and so because of that, um, oh, here's the dollar bill letter again. I got to get that out to you guys. I'll probably email it, the PDF to you. But anyway, those promotions only work if certain things are in place. And so I don't know if those things are in place for you or not until I've actually had like a mini strategy session or conversation with you. And normally we can get all of these answered in about 20 minutes or so. And if you want to find out if these promotions will work for you and you would like a free strategy session with me, you can email me at the email on your screen right now, which is tonyjprivate@gmail.com. There's no cost, there's no obligation. We'll set up a time next week where we can talk for about 20 minutes, and what I'll do is I'll email you a form with a few brief questions that you can answer and then send back to me so I can be prepared for when we have the consultation. and then I'll just go through the things with you and see if you know these kind of promotions will help you or not. And also, and if you decide to work with me and have me customize, um, some of these promotions for you, then as a free gift, I am going to actually just give you the Gary Halbert Triple X programs and the Joe Polish, Nightingale Conan program. I will give that to you as a gift if we decide to work together. But like I said, there's no cost, there's no obligation. Just send me a private email at tonyjprivate@gmail.com and let me know. Put strategy session in the subject line and let me know that you want to set something up for next week. I do have a couple already, um, you know, on Monday, so we'll probably be going on Tuesday and beyond. uh, and you can ask me any other questions you want, and during that time, and I will be honest with you. And I'm not I'm not begging for or for work or stuff. So if this really won't work for you or your particular situation, I'll be honest with you. I'll let you know. Um, and I really want to help you if I can. Just um, take some of these really killer promotions and put them to work for you in your business. So again, um, the next step would be to just send me a private email requesting a free strategy session, and we can take it from there. And then whether whether we decide to work with each other or not, you know, there's no harm, no foul. I mean, really, I'm a nice guy. I'm not a salesman. Uh, you know, verbally, I am an excellent salesman in print, and that's what you would be hiring me for. But I'm not pushy in terms of the consultation and stuff like that. So we're just going to be you and me having a conversation. I mean, I love this stuff. Like I told you, I've been in love with direct marketing and mail order for as long as I can remember, ever since I got that book when I was 16 years old. So I love talking about this. This is my passion. This is what gets my juices flowing. So even if I wasn't being paid, it's that whole thing. What would you do if you weren't being paid? Well, if I was at a bar or a Starbucks and you were an entrepreneur and you were asking me about this, I'd be telling you, oh, well, you could do this, or you could do this, or I'd be asking you questions about your business and really looking for I'm good at brainstorming and coming up with those evil schemes and taking these promotions and oh my God, there's like this huge thing of birds like attacking me outside, but you guys can probably hear that. But I love this stuff. And if you're a cool person and you deliver a lot of value to your clients, and you just need ways to, um, you know, get your message out there or get your product or service out there and impact more people, then hey, those are the kind of people I want to interact with. So, like I said, the next step would be to send me a private email to that email on the screen, tonyjprivate@gmail.com. And that's about it. Um, Let me see. There was one last thing I wanted to cover. Oh, shoot. Hey guys, I just saw that there's some questions that have been sent in, like from Cindy and Brett, that my sound is off. Man, that really stinks. I apologize, guys. This is my first ever webinar. And like I told you at the beginning, my Pete and I, you know, when it comes to technology, we're kind of dunces. But so I didn't even know these questions were coming in. But hey, listen, if you have specific questions you would like to ask me, go ahead, and I'm going to go ahead and end the webinar now. But if you have specific questions you want to ask me, go ahead and shoot them to me in an email, And if you want to set up that private strategy session, it's absolutely free, no cost, no obligation. We'll just take about 20 minutes to chat about your questions and what you want to achieve, and, and that's it, man. So once again, I thank you all for joining the webinar, and also if you do have, uh, if any of you did want the Gary Halbert XXX program, um, get with me. I will give you a special link that you can go to so you can get the Joe Polish program for free, as a free bonus, because that's not part of the normal deal. So, anyway, all right. I hope you guys got a lot of value out of today's webinar. I will try to make it better for the next time. And I appreciate you being here and taking an hour out of your Saturday. And I hope you can take what you've learned today and really go out there and kick butt, make a lot of money. Have a great day.